What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Great Men with Shane Sams. I am your host, Shane Sams, and I've got one of my great friends on the podcast today. My guest today is someone I've had the privilege of sharing a stage with, and I can
Yep.
tell you firsthand, this man is the real deal. Scott Lamm is a global speaker, investor, entrepreneur, and one of those rare guys who retired early, but went back and started doing other things. He's in the same business I am. We change lives for a living. And he's helped a lot of people get into real estate, start businesses, and then help them when they're in need, which is exactly why we get along. He is both wise and genuinely hilarious. Scott Lamm, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, brother, man, this is so good. We've been talking about, I've been trying to get our schedules together to get this done for the last, while now. And I'm so glad it just worked out perfect and organically for today.
Exactly. It was divine timing. Everything just
Yes,
came right where it was because me and Scott talk or
totally.
text all the time, and we're like, when are
Yeah.
we going to do a podcast? And now we're finally doing
Yeah.
a podcast.
Yeah.
All right,
So
let's
good.
let's let's kick it off, man. We have a kind of a similar story, just a different path, I think, to get there.
Yeah.
You left corporate America when you were like 37 years old. Like I left
Right.
education when I was 35. You've got
Yeah.
this real estate empire, and most dudes like that's the goal, right? Like that's what everybody tells us. You just got to work until you got enough money. You can do whatever you want, and you
Yeah.
retire and play golf and
Yeah.
do all the fun things.
Yeah.
And what actually happened when you got there? Like what was it like when you're like, holy crap, this is working, and I don't have to do this anymore? And
Yeah.
then later on, you go speak and invest and do all these crazy
Yeah.
things
It
you're
was
doing now.
wild. It was kind of a situation where we realized, hey, we got enough money coming in off of our real estate portfolio that I don't really have to work at Morgan Stanley anymore. And I could choose whether or not I wanted to have a job or not. And I chose not to. And so I kind of bounced around for a couple of years. I left Morgan Stanley. I invested in a startup on a technology company. It was a really interesting company with great technology, but unfortunately, the technology was too soon. And
Mm,
it really speaks, and we can talk about that later, but it speaks to the importance of having the right product, but also having it at the right time, right? Like
sure.
literally, the product we had was like 20 years ahead of its time. And so after that experience in 2003, 2004, I had an opportunity to start speaking quite a bit. And so I did that and just have done that on and off. I kind of go in, when it comes to the speaking, I kind of go in waves where I'll do it for a number of years and then I'll just get tired of it. And I'll say,
Yeah.
you know what, I'm going to stop doing that for a couple of years. And then,
That's where I am
um,
right now.
yeah, yeah, I
I'm,
love that.
I think I've spoke at two events. Our buddy Matt called me and wanted me to come help
Yeah,
him out with something in like February, I think. And then
yeah,
my buddy was in Nashville hosting a mastermind. That's the only two times
yeah.
I've been out on the road this year, man.
Yeah, man, I'm kind of back into it. I right now. I took 7 years off and just kind of, I'm essentially Shane. I'm essentially, and I am the mayor of Screw Up Town, right? Like I am. I might be the laziest guy you've ever met,
Oh,
but
get
not
out of here.
really. Not really. I mean, it just seems like it, but it doesn't feel like work when you're out there just hustling and doing stuff you want to do and serving people and kind of having that mindset of how can I leave people better than I found them today. And the days and weeks and months roll by so quickly. And
They do, man.
and
The only thing that gets me is physical fatigue. Like that's where it catches me, and I've got to take like a big break
yeah,
because I go hard, man. When I'm going,
yeah,
I go hard, dude. And my body eventually is like, hey, remember
yeah,
you're a human with cells
yeah,
that are tired? like, stop, bro. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. I'm probably that way. I go pretty hard, but and then I'll need a catch up day and I'll rest on a day or sleep in or not set an alarm on a day. But for the most part, I'm just trying to stay on offense, right? And
Yeah,
and I just don't want to sit back and be the guy who has any regrets, right? At the end of the day, absolutely zero freaking regrets.
I agree, man. There was two moments for me, like, because like I was young and impressionable, didn't know that people lived like this, and I didn't know you could do whatever you wanted to do with your life. I was just kind of on a railroad track. And
Yeah,
the two things that got me, man, I read the book when I started my first business called A 4 Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferris.
yeah,
Have you ever heard of that
yeah,
book
yeah,
before?
yeah, yeah.
So I read that book and I thought that was what you were supposed to do. And we created that. And when we quit our jobs, we were legitimately, man, working maybe 4 hours a week. We had everything
Yeah.
automated, everything systemized. I was absolutely miserable. Like I just could not. I was like, what do you do now? Like what happens? And then the second thing that got me, man, which is what made me more mission and vision and,
Yeah.
oriented, was I paid off my house when I was like, I can't remember if I was 35 or 36. I think I was 35 when I paid off the house that we were living in. And I thought that this was going to be the greatest moment. This is what everybody tells you. You're 65, you retire, you got a paid off house. What I'm like, I'm 35, people. What are you talking about? And
Yeah.
I literally went in to the bank thinking they were going to like throw a party for you and like put your name in the paper and like I thought
Yeah.
this was like the
Yeah.
epitome, this was what the meaning of life was.
Yeah.
And I gave the lady my account number, I handed her the check, and she printed me out a receipt that looked like I'd bought a Mountain Dew in a gas station, and she
Yeah.
looked behind me and said next. And I said,
Yeah.
nah, man, there's got to be more to life than this, dude. There has to be more to
Yeah.
life than just having some kind of financial security. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, for sure. I mean, we have to constantly be challenging ourselves and leveling up. And what is my next challenge going to be? And what is the rejuvenation, right? I mean, what
Totally.
is the next thing that I need to commit time, energy, resources, and creativity to?
I think too, I don't know if this is a man thing or if this is a meaning of life thing or it's just the way the world works, but like, when you figure out something like you figured out, like you've got a ton of real estate, like you know how to do that. And then you speak on real estate to teach people how to do that. And like I've got a ton of knowledge on online business, brand building, and things like that
Yeah.
that we figured out. I think that that's kind of like there's a drive there that you've got to tell somebody about this. You've got to pass it
Yeah.
on to give other people a chance to be able to do it. That's where the idea for Great Men came out, because I've got a great group of guys. We go on retreats together, and it's been in a very, very important part of my life, especially as I get closer to 50 and all that midlife moment crisis,
Yeah.
identity, kids, whatever happens to you. Like I've got some stuff to say about that. And like I feel a need to pass that on. Do you feel that
Yeah.
sometimes when you
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. Totally. I feel like I've been gifted with this ability to take what to a lot of people is kind of really complicated, confusing topics and subject matter and break it down into a layman's language that allows people to understand that it's just a series of doing the next right thing, right? And
Mhm.
kind of having that system and process in place to be able to execute. One of the lessons I learned early in my life was I've got to be patient through the confusion, right? Because on the other
Mm.
side of the confusion is understanding. And once we have the understanding, then we possess the knowledge to be able to execute against what we actually know. But if we quit up front when we're confused, we rob ourselves of the ability to ever get a result because we just never get to understanding because we're trying to front load and we think that everything is just going to be a snap and we're going to understand it completely the first time we ever hear it. And that's just not the way it is, right? So being patient through the confusion, allowing that learning to unfold. And especially as adults, we get so impatient with our learning processes that sometimes we quit before we should. So be patient through the confusion. On the other side of the confusion is the understanding.
That's true, man. And like
Yeah.
no matter how good I think I am, I suck at everything I start new. I know what I'm doing, but like this, like I was just this morning. We were booking this retreat for Great Men the Gathering one. I'm gonna number them like
Yeah.
Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna
Yeah.
do it out.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it out in Colorado. I've already got some
Yep.
guys that are ready to go. And like I know live events. Me and you do seminars. We do big stadiums. We do like I've hosted my own, conferences and seminars and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here going, dang, this is like, for example, I'm looking up these like venues, Airbnbs out in the mountains in Colorado, because that's where we're going to do the first one, because I love Colorado. And I find this perfect thing, but I've got to have a fireplace, because this whole brand is just about fire. There's a lot of fire going on in my
Yeah.
analogies right now.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at these and I noticed something. I was like, why do none of these places have seats around these fire pits? And I'm getting ready to book venues, do all this thing, and I like reached out to one of the Airbnb people, And I was like, hey, how many people can sit around that fire? We're bringing a camera crew in. We want to film some stuff, and we want some fire. And she goes, well, you can't light a wood fire right now until August. I go, why? And she goes, because you'll set the whole mountain on fire. It's a fire problem. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh crap, we got to look at fire ordinances. Like nobody told me
Yeah.
that. I didn't know that. I thought I was just going to book a venue and show up with cigars and everybody's going to have a good time, right? But
Yeah.
like there is
Yeah.
that patience. Like it took a whole day of my life to filter with my people like through other places that had gas fireplaces because there's like an ordinance where you can do gas, but it's got to be 30 foot from the tree line and like all this crap. But I sucked at my job yesterday because it's brand new, man. And I think people think that just because you did something, you should know how to do everything. And that's
Yeah.
not true. If you want to start something
Yeah.
new, you got
Skill
to learn
sets don't
something
translate. Yeah, right.
new.
Like some things do from a system process, but the actual day in and day out of execution in any business is going to be slightly different, right? Well,
Yeah,
learning something and doing something are two totally different things, right?
totally.
And so,
Totally.
yeah, and so we can learn and study and look at theory, and then we go in the real world and we realize that you got to throw all that crap out because theory isn't how stuff is done.
Everybody's got a plan till you get punched in the mouth. Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
He's a great man. That's true with kids too, man. Like, like my kids are 17 and 15, and
Yeah.
I'm shocked on a daily basis how nothing I've ever done in parenting counts on a daily basis. Because it's like Isaac is now a 17-year-old, 6 foot tall, good looking, 215-pound man going to the gym 5 days a week, right? He's like doing
Yeah.
all these
Wow.
things. And
Yeah.
it's like all the stuff when I parented him when Isaac was shorter than me, smaller than me, and 13 years old and obsessed with something completely different means nothing. It means nothing. It's
No.
just the total sunk cost in all parenting
Yeah.
every day of your life. And I assume with your adult children that stays the same as they get older.
Yeah, of course. I mean, my kids are kind of older than you. I'm a little older than you, Shane, right? So my kids are 38, 37, and 31.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, I mean, they never quit being your kids, man, whether they're 37 or 17. They never quit being your kids. That's for sure. I remember Garrett when he was about 14 years old, he was complaining and belly aching about having to rake some leaves. And he looked at me and he said, "Why do I have to do everything?" And I looked at him and I said, "Bro, this is pretty much the main reason we had you." Okay. So, child labor was pretty much what was the whole idea. He said,
Yes.
"Shut up." And I said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, of course not. Said that's not the reason we had you, but you got to work, right? You got to work. You got to work
Gotta pull
towards
your
stuff."
weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's neat.
Exactly.
I think it's neat to like we live off the beaten path lives, like
Yeah.
entrepreneurship,
For sure.
investing,
For sure.
speaking is insane. It's like if we could, it would take 12 hours of a full blown podcast for us to explain the madness out there on the road, guys. Like it's this crazy world, but it's cool seeing what my kids have seen. Like, I tell my kids all this stuff all the time, and they just shrug me off or, why are you trying to be all inspirational, Dad? Why are you trying to teach me a life lesson, Dad? But they see you move through the world. Like Anna, just out of nowhere the other day, or probably about 2 months ago, she's like, I need you to help me do a video. I'm like, what for?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she goes, I'm applying for a scholarship. I'm like, really? Do you need some help with it? She goes, no, I got it all taken care of. I just need to use your computer. And I'm like, she's driven and she's taking initiative. And Isaac came to me and said, Dad, I don't think I want to play soccer next year. I'm like, oh, really? You've been doing this for a while. Like, why? And he goes, man, my buddy's going to college and I think I can get his job and I can go make some money and put some money in my pocket. Right. And it's
Okay.
like,
Good.
as like all these wisdom life lessons I try to pass on and all of our one liners we use on stage and stuff mean nothing, but they do see us getting up every day and going and getting it done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And that
And I think my
translates.
kids, yeah, totally translates. My kids, I had for years did almost exclusively international events in Asia, Middle East, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and I got to take my kids to all those places.
Mm.
And all three of our kids have that ability to pivot, be flexible, handle adversity,
They've
have
seen the world, man.
initiative.
They've
Yeah,
seen what's
because
happening out there.
when you travel and you get perspective, right? I mean, United States of America, still is the greatest, greatest country in the world. I mean, there
You
aren't a lot of people
appreciate it
trying to.
more when you go see what's happening out there. When you go to
Exactly.
another country, you want to get back here and drink out of a water fountain real fast.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know what's going on in right now, but I, as far as I know, there's no one trying to break out, right, of the of the
That's a good point.
of the United States of America. I heard some comedian one time, I forget where I heard it, but he said, if you can't make it in America, don't leave. Right? Yeah,
Yeah, right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I see what
yeah.
you did there.
If you can't make it here, don't. Yeah, I mean, what are you thinking? Definitely don't go anywhere else,
Because you
because
ain't
no
gonna make it
one.
there. I
Yeah, yeah, no,
promise.
no, nowhere else can you be lazy and live as good as you can in this country.
Yeah, I think that's one of the ways I use like that's one of the ways I think of when I called this great men because like we know a lot of good dudes, man. We are so
Yeah,
blessed to have
for
so
sure.
many cool people in our life, but everybody's cool, man. Like everybody's a good dude. And then like I think we get caught up with like chasing this greatness, whatever the Instagram post tells us is great or the latest guru tells us is great,
Yeah,
but it's greatness on your terms. It's like, like I want my kids to see these things. I don't want to tell them what to do or this. I don't want to hand them a nice little box that says, if you do all these things, this is a great life, right?
yeah,
It's about designing that, showing them that, putting them in opportunities where they can see that, my version of it, and
yeah,
then the freedom to kind of go piggyback off of that. The greatest moment I think in my parenting life was I was backstage at a Life Surge event and we were in catering and I sat down and this table was like Auntie Ann Byler, founder of Auntie Ann's Pretzels, Ed Milet, one of the greatest businessmen of the past generation, Michael Jr., one of the top comedians on the planet Earth, one of the funniest dudes I've ever met in my life. And Anna Joe came with me and she worked the tables at the
yeah,
event. But she came back to eat lunch with me and she was just sitting there and she was talking to all these people and they were telling her these cool stories and Anna was like, you started Auntie Anne's Pretzels? Like she didn't know who Ed Milet was, but I told her
yeah.
when we were riding back to the hotel, I was like, boy, you're gonna look back at that conversation someday. You're gonna
Yeah.
be like, that's
Oh,
what's
dude.
possible. There is a
Yeah, I love
version of
that
what your
guy.
life. Oh, he's good, man. Ed's amazing.
Yeah,
He poured into my daughter. Like he could have talked about anything. He could have taught business. You know how backstage
yeah,
is. And
yeah,
he was just asking her questions and all that. But it was just cool to expose her to all this greatness, like see all these different versions of it and then go build your own, like figure out like what it
yeah,
looks like for you. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. That's so good. Yeah, she'll never forget that. That's for sure.
Never, man. Let me switch gears here a little bit. Me and you hit it off perfect the first time we ever met because I think we realized that there's a big bucket of like soul mud in heaven, and when God's about to
Yeah,
make people, there's a bucket that's over here that I think we both were kind of scooped out of. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Especially in our style, and we are both what I would call comedian adjacent. Like we're not
yeah,
comedians, but we're definitely
yes,
not comedians, right? So like
yes.
where did your use of humor in your speaking and everything like come from? And why is that an underrated thing for men? I think too many men right now are like, I'm going to be a stoic, I'm going to be emotionless, I'm going to do this and just
Yeah,
put my head down and fight and alpha and blah. But really, man, like I got to laugh every day or I'm just not living. So like where's
yeah.
that come from?
Yeah, it came definitely from my grandpa, right? So my grandpa was a super funny, super gifted storyteller, actually. He was a farmer. He was a poor farmer, not a rich farmer. But he was a really gifted storyteller. And then my dad was also a really gifted storyteller. My dad was a pastor in the Quaker tradition for
Mm,
his entire career. And my dad was a gifted speaker and communicator, but probably not as funny as my grandfather. And then one of my older brothers, Greg, was also, he passed away last year, but he was also really, really, really funny. And I think for me, as I look back, I'm the third of four boys, and my personality is I'm a people pleaser, right?
mm,
And I remember Rochelle and I went to a seminar in 1989, a real estate seminar on creative financing. And they gave us a homework assignment the first night. They said, go home and we want you to come back the next day and tell everybody what your biggest weakness is. That was the homework assignment, right? Now I'm really lucky, Shane, because I'm married. So I didn't even really have to think about what my weakness was, right? Because Rochelle had a whole list of things ready for me. And I said, hey, babe, let's just keep it to one thing, right? And she said, the one thing I think your biggest weakness is going to be negotiation. And I said, why is that? And she said, because you're a people pleaser. You like people to like you. And she said, that's why your humor is so engaging with people that it draws people into you. And I think you use humor as a way to break down those initial walls. And I said, man,
Mm,
honey, that is totally true. So I think humor does that, number one. But I also think humor, when placed properly in the context of content heavy communication and education, also gives people a little bit of a brain break as we transition from one thing to another. It just lets
yeah.
their brain relax and move to a different spot before we come back into content that they're going to need some brain power for to do, whether it's calculations and formulas or systems and processes. I think well-placed humor just really gives the brain a little bit of a vacation
Yep.
in the midst of any learning process.
Yeah. I think too that's a life thing too, because like I've had some struggles with like I get the people pleasing thing too, dude. I was the fourth brother of five brothers, but
Yes.
my two oldest brothers were, one was 19 years older than me, and one was 18 years older than me, and one was 9. So here I
Oh,
am.
okay. Wow.
I was an infant thrown into the Royal Rumble for my life with
Yeah.
grown men. And I do feel that people pleasing thing, and I also think that humor is transition. That's what I used. Well, I've always been kind of a jokester. Like I like to cut up and have fun. But I found
Yeah.
with my communication and my speaking, it allowed me to cover up my weaknesses. Like you've heard a lot of my stuff. Like I'm always talking about being this dude from Kentucky, just out here doing
Yeah.
random stuff, even though I
Yeah.
grew up in the
Yeah.
mountains
Yeah.
and all that. It's almost like permission to be yourself. Like you can get that permission from other people through the humor. And when I've had
Yeah.
like hard times, dude, it's not just in my professional life. Like it's just my life as a man. A lot of times when I'm having a hard day or I'm having a hard time, I work transition times in between. Like if I'm working on stuff and then I gotta go pick up the kids, I need to do something to not be so serious for a minute. And I'll just sit and watch stand-up comedians on YouTube Shorts. I'll just sit there and flip through Norm Macdonald and Tony Hinchcliffe and just any of these old
Yeah.
comedians and just get these
Oh man, there's
one-liners.
so many good ones.
Dude, so many. And like if and once you find, laughter I think is cumulative. Sometimes you'll tell a joke and somebody's not having it, but sooner or later you're gonna get them. It's like when you're reading dad jokes. There's 20
Yeah.
stupid ones and that one just murders you, right?
Yeah.
And I think if more guys laughed in the day and they didn't take everything that feels so serious, they could get to that next level of greatness or whatever it is. We just don't laugh enough,
Yeah.
man. You know?
Yeah, I think that's probably true. And it's also a big, yeah, like to that point, it's a stress reducer. It's all those things, right? I mean, I think of last night even I was at dinner and I was showing somebody this little video where this guy was reading, he's a grown man, he's like 40 years old, and he's reading his parents' lab reports. His parents are like in their 70s or 80s, and he's reading their lab reports from their doctors and giving them the same looks that they gave him when they read his report card when he was a kid,
See, that's
right?
amazing,
And
man.
and he
Uh,
he didn't even have to say anything. He was just taking his glasses and he was lowering them and going, having a
not
stern
good.
look, like I'm so disappointed in this triglyceride level on your lab report, right? It was just so funny. Why's your
And he
cholesterol
gets down
so
to,
high?
you
Yeah,
remember on the report card you always had effort. He gives the C. You're getting a C for effort. I'm sorry, you're getting a
yeah,
C at effort. Just
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Yeah, but just humor, right? And so that was at dinner last night. And so I also think with humor, and you have this for sure, and I know I do, is it's not just humor, it's timing and delivery, right? So
totally.
knowing how to, or over time, knowing where and when you hit your spots. And you and I have talked about going in for that second, going in for that
Oh
second
yeah.
hit. Right. I forget what you called it. You had a good word for that. I forget what it's called, where you go in for a second landing after an initial punchline. There's like a
Oh, my
follow
mind's
up.
blank. I talk
Yeah.
about this all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like because once you got them, you don't want to leave it
Yeah.
there because you can get more once you got them.
Exactly.
Once they're tickled, they're
Yes.
tickled. That's just the way it is, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
I
the
do that.
the
I do that a lot.
The funny thing is, though, I think people think that you're either funny or you're not. And I think there are some people that gravitate toward being like funnier just because they're quirky or because they have an accent or whatever. There's people
Yeah,
that are definitely, it's like a bell curve. You might be a little ahead, but dude, all my funniest stuff is just reps, man. It's just saying stuff over and over and over again and
for
taking these
sure.
shots. And 8 out of 10 things I say are stupid. You can ask my wife. So like she like that's she's not laughing at half the stuff I say out loud,
Yeah.
right? But like this, the fun one of the funniest things that ever I was in I think I was in Orlando and I was doing an event and I've got this one slide that for some reason I didn't even plan for this to be funny. It's like I'm talking about my old boss, and she was like this mean, stern woman that looked like Hillary
Yes.
Clinton, but like with hemorrhoids, and like so it's
Okay.
like I was literally looking for crazy pictures like this right at night, and I found this one. I was like, oh my god, that's perfect. Looks just like her. That's all I thought. I didn't even consider it a joke. And
Yeah.
as I'm in this audience and I'm in this real serious moment and I'm about to like show this picture to kind of represent the person I was talking to in this story. And I thought it was like a
Yeah.
boy, look how mean she was. I lost control of the crowd for 30 seconds because they all started laughing when I pulled this picture up, right?
Yeah.
And then so that was the initial joke and I started setting that up better as I was trying it, right? And
Yeah.
every crowd I talked to was dying and I was milking it, just waiting. And I was like, I need to get that's my jab. I need the right hook to come in now, right?
Yeah.
And people where I come from, they say they put the in front. Southeast Kentucky, people put the in front of words. Like instead of going to
Yes.
Walmart,
In
you're
fact,
going to
I
the
stole one of these from
Walmarts.
you that I use now. Yeah. Yeah.
What was it? The Walmarts? What was it? Was it the
No,
J.C.
no,
Penney's? Which one
no.
was it?
I'll say it was the Google. I still
The guy.
do it.
That's what I'm talking about. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
so,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
So that's
so
what
what I
I
said
still do it.
was,
Yeah.
dude, that was an accident. That was a totally I accidentally said it because I knew this was a laugh and I knew there was another laugh, so I was gonna act like my joke was I looked this up on the Google. I was going to say I looked this up on Google late one night. And I was sitting in the dark. This picture came up, and I was like, "Whoa, it's her! It's not her, but we're going to imagine it's her for this part of the story." Y'all with me? And
Yeah.
it was my
Yeah.
way to get the
Yeah.
crowd back because
Yeah.
they kept
Yeah.
laughing. But I
Yeah.
accidentally said the Google, and it just was
Yes.
pandemonium when I said that
Yes.
because I looked
Yeah.
this up on the Google, and I didn't even know what they were laughing at first. And when I went
Yes.
backstage, they were like, "Did you say?" The Google. That's what everyone remembered from
Yeah.
that day.
Yeah.
But you gotta,
Oh
but
my
just,
gosh.
you gotta take the reps, man. When
Yeah.
you're looking for something funny, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I actually I give you credit when I say it. I go, a good friend of mine said that one time because I say it and I get the laugh and then I say, man, a good friend of mine from down south, he said that one time, and I say it now. It just kind of caught on. I even sometimes say the Google machine. I go onto the Google machine
I go on to the
and
Google machine. That's good. That's
yeah,
good. So you're
yeah, and they
just those
yeah,
little right
yeah,
there,
it's
man.
so good.
My
It's so
kids though,
good.
it's funny
Yeah,
because like I think like that's 90% out of my day-to-day vocabulary. Like I don't really say the Google anymore because I moved away and I didn't live in the South for a
yeah,
while. And it's like,
yeah,
and it's funny because when my kids watch me speak, they're like, "You don't talk like that." I'm like, "Baby, that's in my DNA, honey. I just gotta act like I'm smart sometimes,
yeah,
okay? Like I at least have to put the sentence together when I'm
yeah.
telling a story,
Oh,
you know."
that's awesome.
Hey, I'll tell you what something I've not done is I have not spoken like internationally, but you've spoken on I think every continent but Antarctica.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you find that like specifically talking about like men, right? Because we're talking about men here,
yeah.
like do the same stories hit? Like, what are the common things when you're talking to an audience or a bunch of group of men or whatever, like
Yeah.
that hits wherever you are? Because there's got to be some commonalities, even though we all are culturally different, you know?
Yeah, there is. I mean, it depends on, I mean, I never spoke where I had to have an interpreter. So that was, so I always got to, kind of go at my own pace. I would speak and people knew that it was an English speaking event that I was at. But no, the different cultures definitely receive humor and information very, very differently, especially in Asia. So Asia
Mm,
is one of the toughest groups to speak to because, the people are beautiful and they've been taught to be very, very reverent and very respectful, and they sit there and they're listening and they're taking things in, but they don't respond externally, right?
mm,
And so if you try and tell a joke and and a spot where you're normally telling a story where there's a funny bit to it, they just don't laugh. And it's not that
mm,
they maybe don't think it's funny, it's just that don't want to draw attention to themselves by laughing out loud, right? And I remember one time I was speaking in Singapore, which is fine. And so you go into an event and you just know that it's going to be content rich and it's going to be a lot of information. The downside is it's exhausting because
Mm.
when and you know this, Shane, when the audiences are responding back and sharing
Oh yeah,
and giving
it feeds your
energy back
soul.
to you, yeah, there's
Yep.
a flow of energy back and forth. And when they're not, it just literally sucks the life out of you. And I've never been as tired as events as speaking in Asia, right?
Asia's weird,
And
man. I've been there
yeah,
before, and
yeah,
it is not the same. I mean,
yeah,
everything's different. Lines are different,
yeah,
driving is different, and
yeah.
audiences sound different too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, you're walking in Hong Kong and the smells are different when you're walking through Hong Kong. And, you know, every day I'm fighting to get from my hotel to California Pizza Kitchen so I can have a pizza so I
Something.
don't have to
Yeah.
vomit while I'm trying to smell all the smells
Whatever
in the
else is cooking.
Wuhan market as I'm driving, as I'm driving by the well, one of the funniest videos I ever took, Shane, was it was a restaurant, like a Chinese restaurant, and right above the Chinese restaurant was a pet store. And up in the windows was all the dogs up in the pet store. And I did a video years ago on anyway, just you can imagine where the
Walking.
video went.
No, no, I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
imagine.
This is all the ingredients are fresh in this Chinese store, right? In this,
Hey,
yeah,
cliches are cliches for a reason. They
yeah,
don't. The rumors
yeah.
don't start without a little smoke for that fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The
But
the
anyway, look, but it was I loved traveling back in those days and it was so fun. And I still do love travel. I just haven't done it internationally as much over the last 8 or 9 years. But
I knew that audiences were like that because, as you know, I am a massive professional wrestling fan. I just came off of two
yeah.
days of watching every minute of WrestleMania and watching
Yeah.
it. That's all I've done. 48 hours. That's all I've done is watched
Yeah.
wrestling, and I'm still in tears that Brock Lesnar retired. There's a lot going on. I'm gonna have to do a podcast
Oh
about it.
man.
I'm gonna have to do that.
Sorry for your loss, Shane.
Yeah, it was tough. It was really. I was
Yeah.
surprising. I was a little shocked. I'm still good. I'm good. I'm all right. And but when you watch wrestlers, pro wrestling is huge in Asia, especially Japan. And
Yes.
and when you go watch it, it's not like here where everybody's just screaming pyro and ballyhoo nonsense. It's like it's like watching golf. They'll wait until a move gets finished, and then they'll go
Yes.
and then they'll all collectively go and they'll all clap like a
Yeah.
golf clap, and then they put their
Yeah.
hands like right back down, and then they're just
Yeah.
waiting for the next thing, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just a different. Everybody's different, but everybody's the same, right?
Yeah.
The uh the
Exactly.
the
People are just
storytelling thing,
people.
they are, man. Yeah. The storytelling thing is interesting because I think that I have a different. I don't know. I feel like speakers and storytellers. I think we can see things that other people can't see, and that's not an arrogant thing. That's a reps thing. Like when you tell stories and you refine stories and you just keep
Yes.
doing these things over and over, you see what's happening in them. But you also, not just in your business or your speaking or whatever, one of the things that probably speaking taught me was how to look back at my life and ask myself, like, what stories am I telling myself, like from my past, where there's like family stuff. A lot of guys come into my world and they're in these victim stories. They're in these, I'm stuck, this happened to me, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like, have you ever thought about that? Like as a storyteller with wisdom and experience, look back and thought, what are the stories I've told myself my whole life? How are those limiting me? And like, are they even true, or has this just become like a legend in my mind that holds me back? Have you ever thought of like storytelling from a different angle, not just what we're saying, but what's like the stories from your past?
Yeah, I think so. I was thinking about it actually when I was driving down to the where I am right now at Fast Island. I was thinking about storytelling, and I was thinking about how in our ability to tell the stories, it's drawing out a point. Obviously, there's going to be a major learning lesson in every story. But for me, it's like I don't know any one guy ever who's been successful who hasn't had massive failure, right?
Yeah, totally,
And massive
100%.
and I think about the ability to bounce back and the ability to get back on the horse and the ability to compartmentalize and put things behind you like a golfer, does. Like a golfer has a bad hole, they have to go to the next hole, right? And they just have to get back in to do the next right thing. I remember years ago, I had a buddy that I had sponsored. He was a pro golfer, and when he was in the minor leagues of golf, I paid him a salary every month, and so he could pay his mortgage and stuff. And then I just took part of it, and he'd pay me back with whatever he won. And I did that for 5 years, and I never lost money with the guy, right? And I remember one time I was talking with him, and he was trying to eliminate what he was doing wrong, right?
Mm,
And I challenged him, and I said, instead of eliminating what you're doing wrong, why don't you just think about what to do right,
mm,
right? And and he did that the next day. Instead of trying to eliminate what was wrong, he focused on what was right and doing the right thing instead of eliminating the wrong thing. And he found literally instantly back to where he needed to be. Right.
amazing.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And so sometimes I think we focus on the negative, or we focus on what we're eliminating, or what we're trying not to do. Hey, how about we just focus on what to do that's right?
Yeah.
Right. And so I think for myself, you've heard me, I said it even earlier on this interview. It's like I'm gonna do the next right thing. What is the next right thing that I need to do?
Yeah,
And
man.
to me, that's living life, right?
And that's just
that's
a different
yeah,
perspective in the story. It's just a different, it's
yeah,
like can you step one character over and just look at it
yeah,
from a little bit different angle? And then can you move and realize what's actually like moving the needle forward and what's going on? Like I used to say this thing all the time. It was kind of one of my catchphrases when I was doing Flip Lifestyle. Is people would always ask me like, what's the secret to like making this stuff happen? And I'm like, look, we're going to talk about tactics. Here's the strategies. This is what works. This is how you do it. Like whatever. But the big thing that made us successful was this is what I used to say, was consistent, prolific, and relentless. That's what I just have
yeah,
always, I've always focused on that because I'm a dude from Kentucky. I'm not going to be throwing around, my Harvard degree or anything. I got to be really consistent, figure out what works and do it over and over again. Prolific, I got to do something every day. And I just
yeah,
always felt like I needed to be relentless. And then I had one of those moments in my life where failure, things got really hard, nothing was
yeah,
working, and I couldn't figure it out, and I didn't have that relentless energy right at that time in my life during my journey. And but I was like, but I'm a storyteller, I know how to break it down. So I'm looking back at my journey, not just from entrepreneurship, even when I was a football coach and a teacher and all this stuff. And I'm looking back, I'm like, why did I feel relentless here? Why did I feel relentless here? Why did I feel relentless here? And I was like, wait a minute, I wasn't being relentless. I was being resilient. It's just a nudge,
mm,
man. It's just a little shift in the story. And I looked back and I said, I'm going to edit this part of the story because, like, I thought I was being relentless, but I was just being resilient. And then all of a sudden, that
yes,
resilience, that shift inside of me, it was almost like within a month, I was back on track. You know what I'm saying? Because I
yeah.
looked
That's
at
so
the
good.
story from a different angle, and I didn't just say, well, I've been relentless up to this point and I got to learn something new. I'm like, I recognized something different that I hadn't paid attention to. And I
Oh,
don't
that's
think guys
good.
do that enough. I don't think they look back at their life and realize how awesome their freaking story is, man. Everybody's life story is a
Yeah,
legend if they look back at
yeah.
it.
And I also think that it's so easy to feel like it's like the dig jam acronym. Have you ever heard the dig jam
I have.
acronym?
Yeah.
Dig jam. Damn, I'm good. Just ask me. Right. So it's kind of
Yep.
this attitude of feeling like we've arrived. And I think the losing the energy or the desire to be relentless kind of might coincide with this feeling of we've arrived somehow, when in
Yeah.
fact we've never really arrived. I mean, we're always need to be challenging ourselves and leveling up. No matter where we are, there are people that can new things we can learn from, new ways we can serve others, new ways we can give more. All those things, right? I mean, what are we going to do? Sit back and just try and impress everybody, right? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
when I was younger, I used to care what people thought about me, and then I realized no one was ever thinking about me, right? What
No
was
doubt,
I?
dude.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, who am I
Nobody
trying to
cares.
impress? It doesn't really matter. No one's thinking about you
The
ever.
guy at the red light,
So
the The guy sitting beside
Yeah.
you in the cafeteria? Like, why? What has that guy ever made you a sandwich?
Yeah.
No. So like, what are you doing? Yeah, my kid. One
Yeah.
time, Isaac spilled spaghetti. We actually, this is our saying in there. That concept in our when our kids are doing it, or even when me or Jocelyn are doing it, we say spaghetti on the shirt. That's what we say in my family because like
Oh,
one time Isaac came home and he was mortified because he at lunch he in middle school he had spilt a little drop of spaghetti on his shirt and like it was like
oh,
you couldn't see
yeah.
it, it was out of the way, and he was so embarrassed and so mortified. And I said, Isaac, nobody is looking at spaghetti on your shirt. And he said, how do
Yeah.
you know? I said, because they've got spaghetti on theirs. They're way more concerned about the
Yeah.
spaghetti they spilled than they are
Yeah.
you. So now anytime my
Yeah.
kids are doing that, I'm like, oh, you must have got, Dad, what kind of car am I going to get? No, man, it's everyone. You must have spaghetti on your shirt. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, whatever it is, dude, you got spaghetti
Yeah.
on your shirt. The
Oh, that's good.
one thing that we have an interesting perspective on, I think, too, is we've both built wealth. We've both helped a lot of people build wealth. You doing it through real estate, me doing it through like entrepreneurship. And this has happened to me. This is me looking straight into the mirror. When you do start creating resource, right? It can kind of consume you and like take over like your whole identity. And I'm not really talking about like a love of money kind of thing. I'm more talking about how I'm this guy that does this and makes all of this. And then people kind of become, you kind of became known as that guy. Like one of the things, my daughter was freaking out this year because I've spoke so much less than I have in her whole life.
Yeah.
And she's like, why would you not want to do that? And she knows we talk to our kids about money and she knows what I get paid and it's a lot. And she's like, why would you not want to do that? And I'm like, well, because I'm evolving, I'm growing, I've got a new passion, I've got a new mission, and I'll be speaking and I'll be doing those things. I just might be talking about like some different things. But sometimes when you become that guy, it's hard to move away from that because everyone else knows you
Mm,
as that guy and they don't accept
for
it.
sure. Yeah.
But what with guys that you've seen that have built wealth and maybe gotten into that trap a little bit, like what does it cost you to either walk away from something that was working or like even like becoming that guy and you look around and you're like, I'm making a lot of money, but I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Like, have you seen that happen with guys that get into
Mm,
investing or business or whatever?
sure. Yeah. I mean, at what cost? I mean, do I want to make money at the cost of the relationships that are most important to me? Probably not. Right.
Mm.
And so ultimately, the people I love and the people that are closest to me as I've gotten older, or as I like to say, more mature, right?
I
It's
just say I'm
just
getting younger, baby. I don't know what's
yeah,
happening. I'm a teenage mutant
yeah,
ninja turtle. Give me every supplement you can give me. I'm
yeah.
trying to turn back the time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but as I continue to grow and mature, it just becomes so apparent to me. I'm so thankful that I have a perspective and reality of family
Totally.
and that and so yeah, I mean, money is a weird can be a really consuming thing, and then it
So
is an
weird.
adjustment for our families to not go to a job every day, right? I remember when I left my job at Morgan Stanley, I was 37, Alexa was 6 years old. I come home, or the family was literally, it had been like 2 or 3 weeks since I had left my job, and I was home all the time, and the family was having to adjust to the new schedule. And Alexa comes home from school. She was in the first grade and she was crying. And I said, honey, what's wrong? And she said, well, I'm really sad. And I said, why are you sad? And she said, my teacher told us today that all the mommies and daddies could come next week and talk about what they do for a job. And you don't even have a job anymore. Right. And and I said, well, I work, I just don't have a regular job, right?
Right.
And I went and I explained to the kids that every day what I do is I wake up, I get my money up really early, I get my money out of bed, I feed my money a good breakfast, I pack my money its lunch, and every day I send my money out the front door and I tell it to come home at the end of the day with all of its cousins, right? That's what I
That's a
do.
good philosophy.
I want my money to go make the money so that my time is freed up to do the things I want to do. And so to me, that's what investing really is. Money, the money is just learning how to put them to work so that my time is freed up to do the things that I want to do with my time, right? And so leveraging money, but also leveraging time. right?
Also, too, like you're one of you I love man, I love my friends like you, man, that are just you're Scott Lamb. I mean, you are Scott Lamb, dude. Like when someone says, "You know Scott Lamb," and they say yes, they're like, "Oh, I know Scott." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And like I think that that's like that place where you separate your identity from how you make money, right? Like that's what I
yeah,
told Anna Joe is I was like, Anna, you know, when you were little, me and your mom were school teachers, and we had a great life. Like we did. We had a good life. Like we were
yeah,
our bills were paid, paycheck to paycheck, but we didn't need anything. I was like, then we started an education company and we were selling curriculum to schools, and then we were doing that, and we had a great life and we were making money. And then we were podcasters and online influencers, and it's a great life. And then we went out speaking and started Life Surge and did all these things, and it was a great life. Like, see, it's not how you're making your money that matters. That's not your identity.
yeah,
It's you are out doing it. It's you in the
yeah,
middle of that. And what you want to remember is that's you, not that role. Like people see you on stage and they're like, it's a version of you. It's a snippet into who you
yeah,
really are. But like you can take that everywhere else. And I actually a couple years ago, man, like I was having a dude before I met you, dude, I was having a straight identity crisis in my head. I don't know if it was just my hormones or if it was me getting older or whatever. I was having a midlife crisis at one point for like 6 months, and like the I was trying to figure that out. And one of my buddies, we were on a mastermind trip, and he said, "Dang man," he goes, "Shane, you know, man, you and Jocelyn caught lightning in a bottle with Flip Lifestyle, and you know, or with the you know your first company you sold, and then oh God, you've got lightning in a bottle again. Like how many people catch lightning in a bottle twice? Like what are you gonna do if you if you want to shift and go on another mission, another vision, and build something different?" And I didn't answer it. I was like, I don't know, man. And I was like, let me answer it in the morning. So I was the last hot seat of the day. We all went to bed. And I was laying in bed that night and I was just looking up at the ceiling going, like, how am I going to catch lightning in a bottle? How am I going to catch lightning in a bottle? And I'm going to swear right here, but like I just sat straight up in bed and I had the biggest aha of my life. I went, I didn't catch lightning in a bottle. I'm the fucking lightning. That's what I said to myself. And I went
yeah,
to the mastermind the next day and I was like, guys, it has nothing to, that's not me. That's just the identity and the role I've been
yeah,
playing for a while. But I'm still Shane Sams. I can go do something different and I know how to do it. And we'll
yeah,
see. We'll see if it works or if it
yeah,
doesn't. But I wish more guys would realize that. Like, look in the mirror and stop waiting to catch lightning in the bottle. Like, you're the only lightning you got in your life, and you got to go cram that thing into a bottle. You just got to decide which bottle it's in
yeah.
at any given
Yeah,
time.
that's so
You know.
good, man. That is true. I can identify. I can identify with that. I have had people say to me, "Man, you just get so lucky," right? And you just keep seeing everything you touch turns to gold. You invest in this company, or you're the first investor in this software company, or you're over here investing in this, or you buy this building, or you buy it. And it's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just out managing it. To me, I was lecturing at Boise State University to a graduate class on entrepreneurship, and I was investing with a guy who's an M&A, like a mergers and acquisitions guy for like a big fund. And he's Mr. Spreadsheet, right? He's analyzing all the spreadsheets, and then I get up there and I say, well, I'm a little different. I'm more of a cowboy investor, right? Where I invest in the person and my
Mm,
gut instinct, and I'm willing to put money at risk because that amount of money has a limited downside. It's limited to that loss. And one of my mentors in my life was an old guy who was a billionaire, and he said to me, he said, if I think it'll make money, I'll always do it as long as I can manage the risk. And then he
hmm.
said, if you can manage the risk and you don't have the guts to do it, then you don't deserve to be rich.
Oh,
And
come on now.
it's a really great quote, right? I mean, it's true. It's just a, life. Most people go through their entire life trying to avoid risk,
Mm,
and my theory is that's impossible. You can't avoid risk. Risk cannot be avoided. It can only be managed. And so
yes.
if I come across a deal and I think it can make some money, and they need 100 grand to get started in the business, and if I like them and their ability to execute, and I think they're hard workers, they're not going to take the money and go, buy a new car or do something stupid with it, right? If they're going to actually put it to work, then I'm willing to take a flyer on them, right? And so
Heck yeah, man.
for me, it's just about I'm a bit of a cowboy investor when it comes to that kind of stuff. It's gut instinct and it's investing in people.
I think too though, like there's something behind that too. Like it's like you're a cowboy investor for sure. Like I know, like I've I've heard some of the crazy stuff you've told me that you've invested in. It cracks me up every time because I've never heard of anyone else invest in things like a poker player, whatever,
Yeah.
like whatever it is.
Yeah. Or an
But
IndyCar driver
or an
or
Indy car driver or something
yeah,
crazy like
yeah,
that. But
yeah,
like really, like behind that is like, yeah, man. Like when life is really just you're betting on another person and you're betting on yourself. Like you're betting on yourself to trust. You're trusting yourself that you're reading this person right or that you understand the deal or that you're whatever. And you're also giving yourself permission to fail because not everything works out. Like, no, guys, I don't
no,
talk about all the things I've destroyed on all the
yeah,
time on the podcast. Like, but I've had plenty of businesses. My first three businesses were embarrassingly failures, like bad. The
yeah,
fourth business that we tried worked, right? And we've talked
yeah,
about it a little bit, like in my book and stuff, but you just have to be willing to fail. The most important year of my life was when I was my first year as a head coach and I had only experienced two losses as an assistant. One was in a no, I'm sorry, three losses. One was in a state championship game, and then a couple at West Virginia when I was there. So I'm riding high. I'm thinking I think I'm the Midas touch. I am the guy that's getting
yeah,
lucky.
yeah,
I went 0-10 my first season and got running clocked. Gave up over 60 points in the first 8 games. That will
yeah,
humble a man right there. And I was
yeah,
actually laying in bed one night and I was like, I was like, Jocelyn, maybe I'm not very good at this. And I remember her just saying, like, that's not true. You just don't know enough about the game yet. This is different than what you've done in the past, and you've got to learn it. And like, I was like, oh, we started over. It's not just football, it's high school football. This isn't college
yeah,
football. It's a
yes,
new
yeah,
thing. It's not the same. And I spent that whole off season. I would get up every morning before school and I would read the entire rule book almost every day, trying to understand the high school game. I was deep down the Google looking for playbooks that might work with my fat, slow players. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And like
yeah,
finally I found something that made us competitive. We went 2-8 the second year and we only got running clocked by the eventual state champions. But that was like the greatest win in my I was like, dude, I can't believe we just pulled that off. We had 300 yards rushing a game. We
yeah,
only got beat to death once. Like, but it just reminds you that you never arrived. And you've got to accept
yeah,
that. Accept the failure as correction and
yeah,
pushing you to go get a new skill or do like something different, you know?
yeah. So good.
Yeah, man. You're also one of the most generous people I know. Love tips, love being nice to waiters, love doing all these different things, but also just like philanthropy. When you get some wealth, you've got some stuff to do that. So like what got you into giving and generosity? A lot of people might just keep their money and buy that other house in the Hamptons or whatever they do.
Yeah.
But like where does generosity play in your life right now?
I don't know. Yeah, I think I will tell you it's the best part of money, right? So the
Hmm.
best part of money is taking money that you've worked for and using it to impact people's lives, whether it be organizations that have helped your family or whether it's individuals at an individual level. And, I have a friend of mine who's struggling right now and just was able to help him last week. And whether it's the Salvation Army, when my daughter, our oldest daughter, who's 38, my oldest granddaughter, I know I look so young, right, Shane? My oldest
Yeah.
granddaughter is a junior in college, right? So my oldest daughter got pregnant when she was 16 years old, and when she got pregnant, that was a surprise, of course, to her father, which was me.
Hmm.
And she originally, first she told my wife, and then the two of them eventually got around to telling me, right? They took me to a public place, which was probably a smart thing to do, and they laid it on me. And but we found out really quick that she couldn't go to high school, so she went to a special program that was run by the Salvation Army, and it helped her finish her high school education. And I'm forever indebted to the Salvation Army because they helped my family. They didn't qualify her. They didn't say, oh, your parents are rich. You don't qualify to go to this special school. They just said, hey, you're a pregnant teenage girl. You're choosing to have your baby. We want to help you. And
Mm.
so I'm I'm
Wow.
I'm I'm indebted. I mean, trust me, the Salvation Army where I live is really happy my daughter got pregnant, right? Because I get I get invited to all the fundraisers that they do, right? Because they help my family. And so you
Yeah,
just
man.
you just carve out part of the money you make and you give it away. A lot of people think people of faith have the corner on generosity in our society, and that's just not true, right? I mean, I know
Mm.
people who propose to be of great faith, who are the tightest, most selfish people you've
Stingiest,
ever
man.
met, stingy when it comes to money. And I've known people that are atheists who give away hundreds of millions of dollars. And so,
Yeah.
it's just it's when you do it, you should, if you just, well, trust me on this. If you're out there and you're wanting to be a little more generous, just try it, because there's nothing you can buy that'll give you the same sense of satisfaction for a longer period of time
Mm.
than taking part of the money you've worked hard for and impacting the world around you, right? Things,
Yeah, man.
people, causes that are important to you. So it just is, yeah, I think that's probably the foundation of it.
It's a muscle too. Like I find like one of the things one Isaac came to me one day and he was like Isaac takes things very seriously. Like if something gets under his skin, like he's like he can't let it go. He's got to figure out an answer to this thing, right? And he was coming to me one day, he
Yeah.
was all stressed out. I'm like, "What are you stressed out for, dude?" And he goes, "Man, I went out to with my buddies to eat, and I didn't know what to tip. I like one of my friends was telling me like if it's bad service, don't give them anything. And then this one guy was like, well, it says it right here on the receipt, and there was like five different things to give, and I didn't know what to give, and I didn't know what to give, and I didn't know what to give. He's just saying, I'm like, stop, calm down, calm down. I'm like, let me give you. Here's my rule. I always tip 20%, no matter what, because even if service is really, really bad, I might drop it down to 15%. You know what I'm saying? But I'm never
Yeah.
stiffing a poor server who has a hard
Yeah.
life and had a bad day. I'm just not doing it.
Yep.
And he was like, but what if it's bad? What if it's good? I'm like, that's not the point. Like, the point of me being generous with a tip is so that I can be generous. It's like when I give money to the church or a charity or something else, I release myself from what they do with it. Like if somebody comes out later and there was a scandal and they stole all of our money and they did that, I kind of let that go because my job is to be generous and I got to practice generosity. Like if I go through Taco Bell and they're like, "Do you want to round up?" I say yes before they even tell me what the charity is because I'm like, just round it up, whatever, man.
Yeah.
It's a chance to flex that muscle every time that I get to do it. So when a buddy comes to me like your buddy did, the muscles flexed. I've got it worked out. It's just like going
Yeah.
like to the gym,
Yeah.
man. And it has to be a part of your a great life includes generosity. Do you know that? Listen to this. I'm so obsessed with generosity that when I was coming up with how great men wanted to work, like I was like, I want to build a community where every man has access to it. Every good man that wants to become great on his terms. I want them to be able to come into this community online. Now I'm an online community guy. Everything I've ever built has been memberships. And usually what the way I teach it is you start at $50 a month and you raise it until people can't pay it. You know what I'm saying? That's where your
Yeah.
sales stop. You found the price that the market's willing to pay for that membership. And we all
Yeah.
start at $50, go get 200 people, pay $50. You make 120 grand a year. And then like when I started this one, like my mind was kind of rolling there, but I was like, I want generosity to be like baked into the Great Men Brotherhood community that I'm building online. So I was like, well, everybody gets it for free. I was like, well, how am I gonna? Well, but I give three opportunities for you to be generous as your membership. Like the normal membership, like a normal membership like this, $10 a month. If you want to pay your way, that's fine. You can pay your way. If you want it for free though, you get everything that we have for free. But then there's
Yeah.
two other tiers where it's like $20 a month. You cover two guys that can't afford it right now but need it.
Yeah.
And then there's a
Yeah.
$50 a month tier, and you can be a groundbreaker and you can go help four other people that can't afford it right now. But they will, and then they'll be able to pay it forward too. So like
Ooh,
we
I like that.
baked
Yeah.
generosity into the community that we're building around this podcast.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's a
like that. I
muscle,
mean,
man.
I have a theory about people, right? I mean, it's and this is in all phases of business. If you like, if I go to a city planner and I want to talk about a subdivision that I want to build, and I need to sit down and talk with them about zoning and density and all of those things, right? And I sit down with the city planning, right? If you give someone an opportunity to be your hero or to
Mm,
be a hero, they will usually rise to the occasion. And so when
mm,
I sit down with a city planner and I give them an opportunity to to pour their wisdom and their genius and their superpower into what I need help with, they will usually rise to the occasion if you give them that opportunity. And so I love that tiered schedule, because you're giving people an opportunity to rise to the occasion and
Yeah.
and help somebody else. And if you give people an opportunity to rise, if you give someone an opportunity to be your hero, they will usually rise to the occasion. Is kind
Yeah,
of
man.
the is the
It's felt
bit.
amazing. It's felt like
Yeah.
it was shocking to me, like, in the first 100 people that signed up or whatever, it was shocking how many people picked a paid tier. And then the
Yeah.
guy
Oh yeah.
and then I've had multiple messages from great dudes, man. Like we do a thing. I do these little meetups every week. They're called ELTs. Great men eat lunch together. And I just have a lunch call and we just talk. And like this guy sent me a message the other day though, and he was just like, man, he's like, I can't believe I get to come to this for free. But my goal is to be one of, we call them groundbreakers, the people paying the
Yeah.
$50 a month. He goes, I'm working toward that and I'm going to get there and I'm going to be a part of it. And I'm like, oh, you got generosity like baked into this thing from day one.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love
That's what
that.
it's all
That's
about,
the first
man.
time you had told me about that. I really like that.
Yeah. It's the first time I've ever done a pay what you want model. And because I never liked that before, because I thought it was the way a lot of people set that up is pay what you want, sliding scale, whatever. But it's almost like a guilt behind it. Like, don't pay zero. You could pay zero if you
Yeah.
want to, but that would be bad. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's so
Yeah.
dumb.
Yeah.
And I was like,
If you
but I
want to
want
stay small and insignificant.
exactly. Yeah. What is that? What is that you say on stage? Like, it's okay to stay small and insignificant.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're fine with that. I mean, if you don't want to scale, if you want to stay relatively small and insignificant, it's your right. I mean, it's your
That's how they
journey.
that's how
You
they
get to
present
choose
it,
that.
man. Yeah.
That's what most people do choose.
Or you pick something great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got a bonus question. I got my last question here. This is what I ask everybody at the
Okay.
end of the show. But I just thought of something. Me and you both used to be fat, really, really
Yeah.
fat and unhealthy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but we both at some point in our journey said, I don't want to be in a casket in a year and a half. So
Yeah. Yeah.
like
True.
what was that that I think that most men, like, I think transformation is easiest to start from the physical, like going to the gym, doing something else, because really the only thing you control in your life is your body, where it is and what it's doing. That's all you have
Yeah.
any control over. What made you want to like change your body and get your health back? And you look great, right?
Thanks,
And
man.
like, yeah, man. It's like what made you do that real quick, and just like what was that process like to start that transformation? And how did that impact everything else that you do once
Oh
you got your
man.
body under control?
Yeah. I got real heavy, right? I got like 283, I think was my high number. Today I'm like 187,
And how tall are
189,
you? How
something
tall
like
are
that.
you? Tell everybody how tall you are.
5'9", 5'9".
5'9",
Five,
283. I was 5'10". I
five
had an
nine
inch
two
on you,
eighty
brother. Had an
three.
inch on you.
Yeah. 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 So yeah, I mean that's yeah. So it was I had a big health event. I had a big heart attack and I just kind of needed to start eating better. And to me it was just finally understanding the math, right? Calories in, calories out. And I did a lot of stuff. I also did the GLP stuff. I did some of the GLP stuff, which helped me kind of change some life. It just took away a bunch of my cravings to eat all the
Totally.
time. I'm an emotional eater, man. So no matter what the emotion is, I was eating, happy, eat, sad, eat, out, eat, celebrate, eat. No matter what the emotion was, I was just plowing down the sugar and the calories to massive degrees. And it takes a
Mm,
lot of work to be 283 when you're 5'9", right? That takes a lot of dedication. And
totally. You got to
to
graze.
yeah. I was grazing constantly. So for me, it's just eating less and enjoying and actually chewing and tasting and being in the moment and not going through the motions of eating, but actually enjoying what I'm eating. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just want to live a little longer, right? If possible. And you look around, Shane, you just don't see a lot of really, really old fat people,
That's right.
right? Yeah,
Yes, sir.
and so it's not a coincidence. There's a lot of bad things happen when you're just really, really fat. And
Yeah,
so
man.
lot of other stuff breakdowns. But man, I feel great. Stamina is great. I can walk. My wife and I had an anniversary this last week, and we were in Vegas for a couple of days. Went to the Sphere for the first time and saw a show there. It was great. And we walked. I think one day we walked like 9 miles or something one day, and I felt fine. right? Felt
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
It's a difference maker, man.
Yeah.
And I do highly recommend anyone out there. Like I was the same way. I had a huge health event that was almost took me out into that 2022, and you had a heart attack. Like do it before that happens. It's so much better
Yeah.
to not
Yeah.
have the heart attack or the
Yeah.
body shutting organs shutting down from sepsis and all this stuff, man. And it
Yeah.
is just it's just a path, man. And I'm a all tools available guy. Those GLP-1s, I don't care what anybody says on social media, those are miracles. And if you use them
Oh,
correctly,
yeah.
come
Yeah.
on, man.
Totally.
Like what are you
Yeah.
talking about?
My
It's magic.
cardiologist,
It's
my
literally
primary
sorcery.
physician, my cardiologist, they were all on board with me using it. So
That's
yeah,
good.
I got no problem with that. Yeah.
All right. So last question. You know, the main thing that we teach here is a great life is one you design. That's what greatness on your own terms kind of means. Like it's the great life that you need for your family and your health and your happiness and your emotions and your mental health
Yeah.
and all those things. Like what does being a great man mean to Scott Lamm? Like what do you want your kids like to say about you? What does greatness look like in your life?
Well, yeah, I've thought about that a lot, right? And for me, I have kind of a strong faith background with my dad being a pastor and growing up in that world. I mean, for me, living in relationship with a living God who loves me and cares about me is a super that spiritual part of my life is a super important part of my life. And
Mm,
I believe that's a good foundation. Okay. I also believe that having my wife and my kids and my grandkids see me as somebody who is constantly pursuing his dreams, his goals, following his skill sets, and always looking for new ways to challenge himself and level up and just pushing. Right? I mean, to me, that's one of the great gifts we can give future generations is modeling the the pursuit of of being better people and loving God to a greater degree and loving our families in new and powerful ways and serving people, every day. What can I do to leave people better than I found them today? Right?
mm,
Everybody I interact with, what can I do to impact them and their lives today? You never know what people are going to go through, man. There's a lot of hard stuff people go through, and you never know that one smile, one interaction, one glimpse of hope into someone's heart and life can be a total game changer for them in that moment.
yes, sir. It's good stuff, man. I will say this, Scott Lamm, you made me and everybody listening to this podcast better today, man. Great freaking interview, man. I'm
Thank you,
so
brother.
glad that we finally got to do this,
Yeah, it was
and
so good.
we just need to plan it quarterly now. You just need to come back, and the next time, all we'll do is we'll talk about. We need a whole episode of war stories from the road of
Okay.
the
Oh yeah.
things that we cannot unsee from being speakers, man.
Yeah.
But thanks for being
Yeah.
on the podcast,
I
brother. Love you, dude.
thank you, Brian. Talk to you soon. Love you too. Bye.
All right, y'all. That wraps up my podcast with the one and only Scott Lamm. That's one of the realest dudes on the planet. Generous, loving, authentic, just a true great man living out his dreams, like choosing what he wants. I mean, if we joke about it on the podcast, but man, that dude invests in some crazy stuff. And it's just because he likes it and he loves it and he's doing exactly like what he wants. And that's what this podcast is about. That's what greatmen.org is about. That's what the Great Men Brotherhood, our events, everything is about is helping you with the frameworks, with the thing. There's certain things, there's best practices in everything that we do, whether it comes to physical health, mental health, spiritual health, emotional health. And there are best practices that we can all share and we can help each other. But at the end of the day, man, you are the lightning. Like you've got to have your vision of what greatness looks like. And you got to surround yourself with other great men who are pursuing their visions. And you start building that out now instead of waiting for tomorrow that may never come. I mean, Scott had a heart attack. He could have died. I got sick in 2022. I could have died. And, we're all going to die. The question is, what are we going to do with the time? Are we going to accept a good enough life and stay small and insignificant? Or are we going to pursue greatness on our own terms and take the actions, learn the skills, go through the patience of figuring it out, and seeing what comes out the other side. That's the path I'm on. I hope that's the path you're on too. I'd love to help you do it. We've got a great community over at greatmen.org. We got a bunch of good dudes in there pursuing greatness on their terms. Like I said on the podcast today, that membership is open for everybody. There's a free tier. Anybody can come in. You can kick the tires. You can check it out. Test us in this. You're going to have a good time. Every single day, we've got guys from all over the place in there talking about life, talking about their emotions, talking about the struggles, talking about their victories, and celebrating those things together. So you can check that out over at greatmen.org. We'd love to have you in the Great Men Brotherhood. We also have our first gathering. Our first Great Men, the gathering is happening in Colorado in June. Members of the Great Men Brotherhood do get first access to any of our live events. This isn't a mastermind. It's more of a retreat where you kind of step out of the world for a little bit. I'm looking for places that don't have cell phone service, because then y'all just get in space together with a bunch of great men. And we fellowship, we hang out, eat some steaks, smoke some cigars, and we talk about life, and we talk about our dreams, and we talk about the things that we need to do and how we can help each other make those dreams a reality. So again, head over to greatmen.org. You can find out all that stuff. Also, make sure that you like and subscribe, or whatever you got to do to follow this podcast. Maybe you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We would really appreciate it if you would go leave a 5-star review. If you're loving the content, you're loving the interviews, that helps us get bigger and bigger guests, so you get more of that great content, but also helps more people find the podcast so that they can take advantage of all the things that we're talking about here on Great Men with Shane Sams. And if you want to follow me anywhere online, there's 2 places where I hang out the most. You can follow me on Instagram at Shane Sams Creates. That's where I talk about life and just what I'm doing and hanging out. It's a great place to message me if you want to reach out and hang out. And then if you love the podcast, you are absolutely going to love my writing over at Substack. I write an article every single week on Substack. I talk about a lot of different things. Talk about life, talk about business, talk about mental health, talk about physical health and physical transformation, and just all the things that guys have to deal with in the modern world. So you can go over to shanesams.substack.com. Make sure you subscribe over there so you can catch everything that I create in print. These are articles. You can check it on your phone. I love Substack. It's a great platform if you haven't used it yet. It's one of the places to be. It's hot right now. You need to be on Substack before you get left behind. All right. So check us out over at greatmen.org. Follow me over on Instagram at Shane Sams Creates, and then shanesams.substack.com. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star review. We'll be back next week with another great man. You are a great man as well. We'll see you then.